Hi, everybody. It's time again for the Mikey and Al podcast. I'm Mikey.
And I'm Al.
And I'm Mike.
We got Mike here today. Mike is a 20-year veteran of the police force. And first of all, I guess prior to that, we just want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors, Empire Original Designs.
That's right.
They do challenge coins, and they are the best at it. They do everything, challenge coins, pens, patches, bottle openers, whatever you need. Please reach out to them at jointheempire.com. Mike, thanks.
You have a great voice for that.
I appreciate that.
Really, man. When you're rattling them off, it was like you've been their spokesperson forever.
Thanks for joining us today, Mike. We want to give you this coin. It's going to be valuable at one point, maybe about 1,000 years from now. But it does have, it's got Mikey and I. It's a good flip coin. So if you ever want a flip challenge,
Sure,
we'd like to present you with that. And thanks for joining us today, man.
Double-headed.
Yeah, absolutely. No worries, man. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks, bro.
You got it.
So just to get into it, so you retired cop. What made you want to be a cop in the first place back in the day?
So it's pretty much like your typical kid growing up. You see a cop, you become enamored, and it just stuck.
Okay.
So whether I was, a little kid with my parents and, we're at McDonald's and I see a cop online, I'm just sitting there kind of staring at him, minus the drool. It could have been, I really don't know at this point anymore.
Yeah.
What was it, that they're a figure of authority or that they keep justice? Or?
You know what, Mikey, I was just enamored with the whole concept. I mean, you'd see a cop car, doing 100 miles an hour, flying down the street, lights and sirens.
Yeah. Sure, seems pretty exciting, right?
Right.
That shit does sound cool.
I'm sure if I was a Dalmatian, I would have chased it, but I wasn't fast enough. So, ever since then, and then it kind of built. As I got older, I kind of started getting into the cop shows.
Right.
Watching Miami Vice. Now I'm dating myself. Just stuff like that, and everything about it just kind of interested me, just that whole adrenaline aspect. And, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys. I wasn't thinking, I really want to help people one day.
You're being honest.
You know what? I think that's great.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure a lot you hear that bullshit all the time. I wanted to help the community and all that.
No.
Yeah, the Superman speech.
Yeah.
I really, that wasn't my thing. I was just really just taken by, the action and what they did. And, we're going to go out there and catch the bad guys and do this and do that. So, I mean, and it's stuck. I went down a couple of other avenues,
right,
growing up and going to school. But, gotcha. I kept myself out of enough trouble or didn't get caught, to where I could afford myself the opportunity to, finally make good on my dream.
Oh, I think that's awesome.
So,
yeah.
I mean, so you almost made we were kind of into juvenile problems, kind of, troubled youth.
I don't want to say yes, but
sure.
Yes.
Well, they say the criminals make the best cops, right?
Hey,
they do say that.
I don't mean to accuse
you. Got it. Listen, the thing about police work, and we'll have plenty of time to touch on it. If you don't go in there with the same mindset, if at some point you don't think like a criminal, this job will eat you alive, because you just can't get by on the laws alone and knowing what's right and wrong to be successful.
Right.
You have to know, what people are going to do. Like, you have to kind of expect it, and it's going to save your ass one day.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So give us an idea back then, like what was the academy? So you go, what's the process of being a cop now? I mean, back then versus now, or has it changed? Or I'm assuming you still have friends who probably nowadays, sort of, fresh into the force versus what you had to go through. So what changed in the dynamics of when you had to go through it versus now, you think?
Well, pretty much back then, from what I could tell you guys, it was more clear cut. You went to school, you obtained your associate's degree or your 60 college credits.
Okay.
That would make you eligible to take the test.
Okay.
Right. You took your test, you got your score, and then from there you went to the agency that was going to hire you, and they'd send you through the academy.
Okay.
Pretty clear cut.
Yeah.
Nowadays, there's so much politics involved, and it's kind of,
you gotta know somebody, or you have to abide.
See,
it's kind of like, and I mean, it's kind of hard to say, but like the whole dynamic has changed.
Yeah.
Right. So even the way people so this is actually a fact. If you fail for the NYPD, if you fail the test, you could actually take the test again, and you could actually take it online at home.
Really?
Right. So
So just
shit, I
enter
didn't
as
know that.
often as you'd like. Kind of thing.
I'm not
It's
sure
like
how many.
signing up for college. You can take the test online. Holy shit, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Jeez.
Yeah, and I mean, I remember way back before I got hired up here. I was down at 1PP, one police plaza. I was going through the process, and I'm sitting there in a room, and there's other guys there, like wearing like, hoodies and like sweatpants and sneakers, and I'm sitting here, and I'm like, this is an interview. Now I'm starting to sweat more, and I'm in a suit that already didn't fit me, so I'm already uncomfortable, and now I'm starting to really feel the heat, so to speak.
Starch is rubbing the skin.
And I'm like, shit. I'm like, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
Like these guys they're gonna back me up one day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it kind of started. They kind of got a little lax, but I mean, we are where we are now, and I mean,
I thought you looked familiar.
Yeah.
I was one of those guys in the sweatpants.
no.
No, you don't look familiar.
So I will tell you a quick story. So I did meet you before.
Oh.
So
Ooh, this is where a little bit of cold
This is
sweat
probably
hits.
bad,
It was
exactly.
an asshole.
We know Mike's history.
No. It was a pretty cool engagement, but so I'm with a bunch of buddies of mine, and we go right up to the poorhouse on 17K. Right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, great dive.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was
I used to take mystery pills there.
well,
swear to God,
it
for
was one of those
patients.
places where like you have to wipe your feet on the way out.
Oh.
Yeah.
It was
Oh,
a
yeah.
That's
but,
a nice one.
but I mean, it was one of like it was you walked in there and it had one job and that was it. So, a few buddies walk in and I met up with them. It was like 11, 12 o'clock, whatever. And I walk over to the bar and one of the guys had mentioned, hey, Mikey from OCC is here. And I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. And it was right at the height. I mean, the show was like on fire, like molten, like you guys were
Molten hot.
Yeah.
Bam,
it
it
was
was
there.
somebody.
Yeah.
So,
Getting
and I was going to go over and kind of just say,
blowjobs, all that kind of shit over there. Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
I had money.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna go over and just say hi and just kind of commend you and be like, would you want a beer or whatever.
Oh, thank you.
But you were sleeping in a bowl of popcorn.
Oh yeah, that was me. That was me.
So I erred on the side of caution. It's like, you know what? I'm gonna let him be. We're good.
That was nice.
We're
Yeah.
good. Maybe I'll see him another time.
And here we are, man.
There we go.
But the cool part about that night, aside from seeing you, was you were hanging out with the guys from Jackass.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Ryan Dunn.
Oh yeah.
No longer with us.
Yeah.
And,
You know what's
a few of those
crazy?
other guys there.
I don't know anything about this fucking story, Mike. You've never mentioned
Well,
that
there was
shit
no Johnny
ever.
Knoxville or it was like the guy
It was still
the other
Ryan
guys
Dunn. He's very, very.
I know, but he's
Until
dead
this
now.
day, I didn't know that. So
Yeah.
Ryan Dunn was with Mike.
So it was Ryan Dunn. So it was kind of crazy because I went up to you, you weren't available, so I left, and then all these guys from Jackass were there, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Well, wait a minute. When you say
Oh,
he
yeah.
wasn't available,
Well,
I was out.
okay, let's get a little
was
down.
out to
Was
lunch.
there like
less than lucid.
I was out.
And how about Ryan Dunn? Was he sitting right next? He's like,
So they
halfway through
were
it?
they were all kind of like around the bar, all standing up, all like going drinking, they were having a good time. That was about it. So he was
God
there.
bless.
Rab himself was there.
Rab, yeah.
Yep, and just
He took a shit while running at full speed.
they did a lot of things at full speed. So so that was quite a a funny night.
Yeah,
that was the one and only time that I actually saw you in person.
Now I'm remembering that. Earlier in the evening, I think the people, the locals over in Montgomery wanted to beat him up.
Did they?
Yeah, because they're on Jackass. Those guys, like, people get drunk and want to beat the shit out of them a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
Kind of the opposite of starstruck.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So wait a minute.
Strike.
I'm still not clear. So it was Mikey, Ryan Dunn, and who?
Rab
Rab himself.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So
All
now, I
right.
mean, if you know the crew, like these guys were like
Yeah, I'm
the
sure.
nucleus. Like Johnny Knoxville had his his time in the sun and all this.
Sure.
And Bam was the guy.
Of course. Yeah.
Funny.
But these guys, if you really watch the show, like you're like, holy shit, these guys are the real deal. So it was kind of cool. It wasn't quite a staged, reaction, but it was still fun.
I think
Yeah.
that's
Cool.
awesome.
And I tell everybody, some version of that story whenever it comes up. So
Oh, that's great, man. I'm
Well,
glad
no-
I could be passed out for it.
Wait a minute, but to get
I
to
might
a,
have ruined the story, if I were awake,
just to get to a backdrop, because I got to tell you, Mike is very humble. There's some, I mean, I've known Mike for years now, and we've talked about a lot of famous people that Mike's, came across, but he always amazed me because it's always like he always forgets like hundreds of people that he's, everybody knows, and he's like, I forgot it. I was I was in a private jet with Steven Tyler and all that. I mean,
you forget that stuff.
Yeah. So let me ask. Okay, Mike. So
like,
how did the Ryan Dunn come? Since you brought it up, Mike, how did the Ryan Dunn thing?
Well, he wanted to get a bike built.
Okay,
and
cool.
he actually got one built.
Okay, gotcha.
And it was a stripped down kind of thing. I don't think we did it on the show because I didn't think he wanted to spend that much money.
Right.
I think we were fetching quite $1 at that point.
Okay.
But I think he made like an appearance on the show and then picked up his bike, and he just wanted a stripped down chopper that was sort of what do you call it, like primer?
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
but a really nice guy.
It's a shame what happened with that guy.
I think it was like a year later that he ended up getting into the accident. So that was,
good story.
Yeah.
So, Mike,
very sad.
Yeah, very sad.
Yeah, it's tragic. Really
so, in terms of being a cop, when you go to the academy, what happened? I always wondered when you go to the academy, how do you become? You always see the beat cop, you're the guy with the stick, and then you're like, we're going to bust you down to a beat cop and that kind of shit. So what do you really?
Yeah,
where
is
do
it
you
like
start?
Police Academy, the movie?
So,
that's what I was just thinking. Mike.
Is there a peephole where you look?
Yeah.
I mean, there's like this like long running comic strip where it says like, what I think I do, what my mom thinks I do, what my friends think I do,
right.
what I really do.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? So when you said Police Academy, that's really funny because
there's a little bit of that.
It's
there,
one of those snippets where it's like my mom thinks I'm like Superman standing on top of the Empire State Building. And then my friends think I'm out there and I'm kicking guys on the ground and cuffing them up and then just book them, get them out of here, and then what I really do. And there's a picture of like Tackleberry or like Steve Guttenberg's character. So
Mahoney.
Mahoney.
Right.
So I'd have to say, I mean, with all the respect to police work, I think it's a combination of everything.
Yeah, okay.
It really is. It's a serious job. I mean, some days are just a comedy of errors. Other times, your ego can be out here. Sometimes you're humbled faster than you could say the word.
Gotcha.
So it's like you really don't know. It truly is so unpredictable. Like I don't really think you could break it down to, unless that's what you want to do. If you just know you want to be a cop because you want the benefits, you want to retire, and you want to be a beat cop and take your nightstick and hit the fence,
right?
You're going to do that.
Gotcha.
But if there's other things that you want to do, you're always going to afford yourself that opportunity.
Okay.
So going back real quick to touch on the academy.
Right.
So my academy experience was kind of weird. And I say that because I was the 9/11 class.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So my academy started August 5th of 2001.
Okay.
And just a few short weeks later, I mean, this country was turned inside out.
Sure.
So all of our drill instructors, aside being all sworn personnel, they were also military. Wow. So they all got pulled and they were going off. Whether they were going to Afghanistan, if they were going here. So we basically had almost nothing. We had to police ourselves. We had to do most of our own PT. We had to make sure all of our there was nobody really to keep us in line.
Gotcha.
So it was a weird experience. The first day you're there and, the drill instructors come literally kick the door down, to your classroom. They're turning all your gear, inside out. Your mom makes you a peanut butter and jelly. It's on the ground. It's flattened.
Sort of like a Full Metal Jacket kind of a vibe,
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it was.
Yeah. That's a wake-up call. Right?
Pretty much is. So, the academy, their job is to break you
down.
Yep.
And to build you back up.
I gotcha.
So that's what, they were going for. So, I'm not going to, bullshit you guys. I'm sitting there and this is
fuck you.
You're nothing. You're nothing.
Right?
Right in your face and shit, spitting at you.
What are you going to do?
Full on, holy shit, what did I just get myself into?
Now, do you see some guys that just fade and they're just like, ooh, flower down? And they're like, fuck this.
Oh, yeah. We had,
you know what I mean?
There's always a couple.
Like, fuck this. I'm going home.
Yeah, just shrink.
I'm going to go home and play some fucking Xbox.
Right?
You know what I mean?
Slink away after you shrink down.
It's like, shit, I should have been a fireman. But fuck, this is
he's hitting the fireman.
I'm just saying.
He's hitting the fire. Okay,
I'm just saying.
We do not say
there's always a competition, right, between firemen
and when I say that, it's a healthy competition.
Of course,
sure.
I have so many friends at work. A buddy of mine works at Vinegar Hill in the Bronx in one of the houses. He's a great guy. I mean, listen, we're all trying to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Right. We're all trying to keep the order. Shit burns down. We still got to be there. I mean, the job. I mean, obviously, we know the hazards and what it can do. So, I mean, the love and the respect is always going to be there.
Obviously.
But, we're going to snap towels.
Yeah.
Not going to lie to you. It's going to happen, So.
Well, that's I think the camaraderie is probably one of the coolest things about being in, I don't, whether it be a cop or a fireman, right? The back and forth that you get to, you get to meet friends and build a whole
network, right? There's always sort of a brotherhood, right?
Yeah, brotherhood.
It really is a brotherhood.
That's the word I was looking for, brotherhood. I'm
network.
I just fucking babbled for a minute, but anyway,
it's more of a way of life.
Yeah,
really
I think
is.
that's awesome, man. So you went through the academy, and you were based out of what, Manhattan, or
No,
you came straight up to the Hudson Valley area, or?
Yep, my academy was in Rockland County.
Okay.
And then, so at that time, the Rockland Academy was pretty much, it was training cops from everywhere. I even had guys in my class from the Brooklyn and Bronx DA's office.
Gotcha.
So it all depended on where they wanted to send you. Obviously, if you're going to be with the NYPD, they're going to send you just to their academy alone because it's a completely different, it's a different animal.
Sure.
So, but that's where I was, and then I came up here and I found myself in the thick of it.
Okay.
And this place definitely did not disappoint from day one.
So you were a cop in Newburgh, city of Newburgh.
Oh.
So bam, you're just right a newbie, right? A probie coming right out of school, and bang, you're right into pretty much the most crime, right? Other than maybe
pretty much in Hudson Valley,
right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was going to say, I mean, go ahead, Mike.
No, tell us a little bit about that, man.
Exactly.
Yeah, geez.
Let's see. I mean, I would say that stories are pretty infinite. I mean,
no, I was going to say, because when you're in Newburgh,
oh yeah,
so you're sitting there,
I mean,
you're in your car and you got your whole cop uniform on and shit like that, and then you get, what do you got? What's the call? Give us the various calls. Like, I mean, if you get something over like, okay, it's a 211 coming in.
Yeah, what was the first thing to make you think twice about the job?
Exactly. Exactly. You're like, what, fuck this. I should have.
Day one of the academy, but so this is a true story. My very first day, right, I'm with my field training officer, and he was just, a mountain of a man.
Mm-hmm.
6'7", 290 pounds. I mean, he's just a big boy.
That's a big man.
He's a big dude, and he recently just, thank God, he retired last year, I think it was, or the year before. But I'm with him, and, when I tell you straight out of the gate, so we leave the station, and I think it was First and Lander. We ended up going to a domestic. So I'm thinking, all right, I'm looking around, I'm like, all right, well, here we go, starting to get a little sweaty, whatever. And we're sitting there interviewing the woman, and her and her husband had gotten into it, no big deal. And I'm like, all right, it's not that bad.
Right.
Like, I could do this. I'm City Newburgh cop. Nobody's going to fuck with me, right?
Yep.
Here I am. Yeah, lo and behold, out of the corner of my eye, I see something fall. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm probably just seeing shit. I'm tired. Whatever. I'm on sense overload.
Yeah.
Then I see something else fall, and then I happen to look up, and now there's rocks, a cinder block.
What?
So my partner looks at me and he goes, "Come over here. I'm going to introduce you to airmail in the city of Newburgh." So what they would do is they would see people being interviewed. They'd see us on the street. They just heave shit at us all day.
Really?
That's all. That was just one small aspect of what they would do.
Shit.
That's horrible.
It's almost like getting.
It's not funny.
That's not funny, but it's. Go ahead.
It's funny now because we can sit here and talk about it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Unless you get hit by a fucking cinder block in
sure,
the fucking head, but go ahead.
Yeah, I may want to rethink this job opportunity. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, people are really that savage?
Yeah, firing a can of Campbell's soup down, hitting you in the corner of the head.
Now,
or something.
what do you, since you're interviewing a domestic dispute and you see shit like that, now do you have to address that upstairs too? Or do you just fucking, you go,
So
let's just,
we're
back the car up and get the fuck out of here.
No, I mean, there's been plenty of times where we've done that.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. Look, stay away from him, stay away from her. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
You can't do that now, but so we would make sure our safety was paramount because the number one job is to go home at night.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Minus all the the pomp and circumstance and all the shit that comes with the job.
Right.
So, we would call another unit to come and assist us and say, listen, this is what we got. We're out on a domestic, but we have some complications. I need you to address it for us. Just keep the scene safe. And that's basically what we would do unless it would all go to shit.
Gotcha.
Which happened on more than one occasion.
Yeah.
So,
so what, I'm curious, is there a certain time of day, like is it midnight to 4 that you're like, oh shit, this is going to go south?
Yeah.
Or is it like, you know what I mean? I always
witching hour?
Or is it like, or it's a Friday and Saturday night, I guess, are probably the most fucked
the best,
up days.
right? Maybe Sunday night, maybe.
Yeah,
listen,
Sunday night.
You guys would think that, right? Like you can kind of gauge it and be like, it's going to be so busy tonight. I don't know what to do, but the thing about this place, being the animal that it is that you cannot gauge when the crime is going to occur.
Right.
Like you can't put a time on crime. And that's what everybody would say. So, I mean, you would come in on a Friday night. The Waterfront is just, it's just live. It's just going crazy. And you're like, it's going to be so fucking busy. This is crazy. And nothing would happen. You'd get like a drunk call and that was it. Right.
Yeah.
Then Sunday afternoon, you get 4 shots fired calls on Farrington. You get a guy laying on the ground with his head blown apart.
Holy
you get another call for a DOA, but they think it's suspicious. Then you get a pursuit, and then you get shots fired, and then you get this. You're like, it's fucking Sunday afternoon in June. What is going on?
Yeah.
So you really can't, because I worked midnights here. I worked day shift. I did the third shift, which is the 3 to 11. And, nobody here in Newburgh really gets up before 12. So there's like kind of that lull.
Yeah.
But then once, they're up, that's it.
Yeah.
And it's just an absolute free for all. And even from walking into the apartments, you have to watch yourself.
Yeah.
They'll put, at least they used to, they would put razor blades on the handles.
Come on. Really?
So you can't catch your balance. They'd piss on them. So now if they cut you, you were going to get pretty sick.
Holy shit.
They take the cable wires.
Boy, that's crafty. I got to say, man, I could never come up with that.
We do want to say this is the city of Newburgh. Not all of Newburgh.
Not town.
Please tell us it's not the town, but
it is the town
it's
as
the
well.
city.
There's that
there's a different
line.
there's an imaginary line.
Yeah.
But that's insane. I would have never known that they how crafty is that, which is fucking demented that you're putting.
Sure, yeah. Whenever someone thinks of something I haven't really
But that's what I'm.
And I think that's fucked up, man.
Yeah,
that's
it
like,
is. And that's what I'm telling you. Like you have to really kind of think like they think. Right. You're like, all right, how are they going to try to kill me today?
My God.
We would get into foot pursuits like in the alleyways, and we knew what they would do. They'd take all the old cable wires and they'd set them up so you wouldn't see them. They'd duck when they run, but to a rookie cop or somebody who didn't know the area, you're going to get clotheslined. You're going to lose your head. And you're not going to be able to chase them anymore. It's like you're running into a web of cable.
Holy
booby trapped.
Exactly.
Totally. Huh?
Yeah.
Jeez.
So that's
this is like Vietnam shit.
That's horrible, man.
It's crazy.
But there's
so you've seen some dismantled.
I've seen some shit.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
Yeah. And I've been in different units.
Yeah.
So I've been full-time SWAT. I've been on the Marine unit. I was in the gang unit.
Okay.
I did narcotics, so I pretty much got to see a lot of the other things that like this fucked up world has to offer.
Sure. Now, is it? Are there like repeat guys that you probably you always see like on the TV? They know them by name. They're like, okay, we're gonna go see Johnny because Johnny.
Yeah, Larry over there is crazy. Watch out for him. He's always there.
He's always there, and but. We'll go talk to Larry because he's our informant or some shit like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
he knows what's
tax
going
cops and he's kind of an informant.
Yeah,
he's like a balance there.
Sort of like what's on the Starsky and Hutch, the newer one where Snoop Dogg was the fucking
Huggy Bear?
Huggy Bear. Like a Huggy. Is it like a Huggy Bear? Right, like a Huggy Bear. And we're going to talk to Huggy Bear. He knows everybody. He knows everything about what's going on with everybody.
Listen, if you're
we don't want to know the guy because but I'm saying
if you're in tune to the streets and you really know your job, Absolutely. You're going to see people and you're like, fuck, you know, there goes, you know, Joe Williams. Like, you know, there goes so-and-so. I know exactly what he's doing and I know what he's going to do. Like you figure people out and you deal with them so much. You know, I could drive up Broadway right now and still see people and be like, yeah, I recognize him. Yeah. You know, it's like, I know your dad, I know your grandmother. Like it's crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's a good insight.
20 years though, huh?
Yeah. 23.
How did the game change during COVID?
So COVID, it fucked everybody up, including us. Obviously there was a lot more medicals to go to. I mean, I remember, so when COVID hit, I was actually in Spring Valley. I was no longer in Newburgh, but Spring Valley was just, I mean, it was along the same lines as here, except it wasn't as brutal and the guys weren't so hard. They were more soft.
Okay.
You know, like they weren't going to come out in broad daylight and just spray an AK and then go back to bed. Like,
right.
It wasn't like that.
I got you.
You know,
that's good.
They're all wearing brand new Jordans because their parents bought them for them and they didn't have to hustle to get them.
I got you.
You know what I mean? So it was different on that aspect. So back to COVID, you know, I remember going out and there was an apartment complex right across the street from the police station, which was in a shopping plaza, which was kind of strange.
Right.
And, you know, I literally remember sitting there, and this is when COVID very first hit. So we didn't have any masks because we just didn't have them. Everything got handed out. And if you didn't have one, you didn't have one, and that was it.
I got you.
So you had to kind of keep your distance. I mean, what were you going to do for somebody inside anyway?
Yeah.
Let the medics take care of it. But I mean, we had Tyvek suits. I mean, we walked in there like it was the final scene of E.T., you know, trying to do our job and navigate. But I remember sitting there and there's people in Tyvek suits coming out, you know, with the big, you know, rebreathers and shit like you'd see in the movies, you know, like Space Odyssey.
Yeah, man.
And they're wheeling out gurneys. Just
really?
Like I mean, like 2-3 a day. And you're thinking to yourself, holy shit, like this is really, like this is what a time to be alive.
Yeah.
You know, and on top of COVID, you still had crime and you still had all the bullshit that you had to take care of.
Do you think did crime even go, because I wonder if I was a criminal, I'm just thinking, when I use COVID in my favor, I'd be like, listen, come close to me. I got COVID. I'm gonna spit on you.
That or the fact that they're wearing masks, and you can't really positively identify anybody when their nose.
Yeah, well, that's true
covered,
too.
right?
Yeah. So I mean, was there people? Yeah, good point.
Mm-hmm.
So did people try to? Did crime sort of continue up on the uptrend, or was fucking, did people use it to their advantage, which is fucked up? But I'm just curious.
I mean, they did. I mean, desperate times, right?
Yeah.
So pretty much what people did was every flyer that we got of a suspect that was either breaking into a house or doing something and got caught on camera.
Yeah.
Of course, he's wearing a mask.
Oh, of course.
So you couldn't recognize anybody.
Him.
I'd see somebody walking down the street like, oh, that's the guy that committed the homicide the other day. Like, how can you tell? It's like same mask. Just being a dick. And I'm like, I don't know who these people are, but crime, it hit an immediate low. But then as soon as it kind of started to become like, because, we all have short memories.
Yeah.
As soon as COVID was like, whatever, I'm just going to do this anyway, it started to pick up again.
I think people sort of get, they understand the situation, then they start to maneuver around it and try to get, try to use it to their advantage.
They adapt.
They adapt to it.
Of course.
Utilize it.
Yeah. Would you, seeing what's going on with cops today, which Mike and I touched base on prior to you, being here. I mean, you see so many things going on with cops being disrespected. You saw this immigrant thing, cops being beaten and that kind of shit. Yeah. Would you be a cop today if you had to do it all over again? Or would you recommend your family member to be a cop? Or what's your thoughts on that?
No way.
No?
Absolutely no way in hell.
See?
Really?
No way.
Yeah.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. And the reason everything has changed so much. I mean, everybody knows, right? And everyone thinks that they're above the law, right? Everybody thinks that they have all these rights. And something that I've always said in my career was somebody was like, I know my rights. I was like, but you don't know your wrongs, bro. You don't know what you're doing wrong. Like, that's great. But like back then you can like get on the level with somebody. You can talk to them. I mean, listen, if you had to get physical with somebody, you did, but it was mutual.
Yeah.
And when I say by mutual, like if somebody knew that they fucked up bad and they knew what was coming, they knew it wasn't going to be like, hey, I just need you guys just come over here real quick. I just need to handcuff you and we'll figure. No, it wasn't like that. You knew it wasn't like that.
Right.
You know, but now it's like you almost have to look over your shoulder every time you do your job.
Again, it just seems like that in the media and all that kind of stuff. What's going on? You have cops, you know, getting arrested, thrown in jail. I mean, to try to do their job, and then there's this, you know, there's a whole. I hate to say it, there's a whole racial element going on there and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. There's so many different variables there. Yeah. It's very, very difficult, I think, for a cop to do their job. But it's, I remember when we,
fair,
be fair,
firm.
But when we were growing up, I mean, Mike and I talked about this too. When a cop said something to me, I didn't question it. I was like, "Fuck it." I mean, he's a cop. Yeah. You know, it's what he. Yeah. You know, it was a given. And now it's like, and I watch these Facebook things. You know, even when, on a stop, you pull over a car, they're like, "Nope, I'm not getting out of the car. Fuck you, I'm not rolling up the window."
Yeah, here, talk to my lawyer.
Exactly.
My dad has this lawyer on retainer.
That's exactly how it is.
Is that really how it is? Holy shit!
Listen, if half of the things that I had experienced back then happened now, it would have been a different ballgame.
Yeah,
it really would have. I mean, let's see, in the time that I was here, I was shot at twice.
That's got to be something.
I had a foot pursuit with the guy. He actually had the gun in his hand. You know, I mean, there's so much stuff. I mean, I'm picking buckshot, out of my hair.
Oh.
You know, I mean, because that's how close it was.
Sure, having to run down a perp with a with a firearm in his hand. I'd go the other way.
Yeah, right on City Terrace.
Yeah, I'd be like, drummed out.
I was working narcotics, and I had to go ID a guy. And I jump out Broadway and City Terrace, and I'm like, "Hey, bro," I'm like, "What's your name?" I knew exactly who he was.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Hey, man, what's your name? I just got to ask you a question real quick." I was like, about yesterday, not a big deal.
Yeah.
He takes off. I start chasing him, and his right hand comes up, and he's got a loaded .45 right in his hand. So he makes his way up to William Street, and they were doing construction at the time, renovating, and he ends up disappearing, and we ended up getting him the next day. He was walking on the street like nothing had happened.
Really?
Yeah.
Just trying to act like nothing happened, like George going back into work, like he didn't get fired.
He's like, nobody saw me. He's like, whatever, but everybody saw him. I knew, we knew who he was, but it's like, little things like that. It's just, it's crazy. I had I stopped a car. I was working narcotics, a car right on was it William by 9W? And I go to get out. I go to talk to the guy, and I'm just like, "Hey, bro," I'm like, "Let me get your license." And he takes off, and he made it about 200 feet. And he's crossing the intersection, and an oil tanker happens to be coming at the exact same time. No. And it was like a movie. Like it literally crushed him, and he's stuck underneath the oil tanker.
Oof. Jeez.
I mean, it's just.
And then you got to file the report, right?
I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
You're part of the whole thing. It's not like you just walk away like the rest of us. Like,
that
guy's definitely good.
You know what? I mean, that's fucking horrible, but that is a good thing. Is it really? You got to really file a report? You see that on TV. Well, I don't want to file the report.
Yeah, do you?
It's almost like, have you ever seen The Other Guy with Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg?
Sure.
Where he's like, okay, and they're like, okay, who wants to file the report? And fucking Will Ferrell's like, I'll do it.
I love paperwork.
I love paperwork. Yeah. Is there? I mean, you got to do a lot of that shit too.
Yeah, and that's like one of the downers, like with your adrenaline dump, is because you're in the shit and you're just going 100 miles an hour, and you're just. I'm doing this, get him, do this, whatever. And you're going batshit crazy. And then after everything kind of settles, you're like, fuck, I got to do like a 4-page report now.
Wow.
And you're like, oh. So, I mean, as time goes, you kind of pick and choose like how active, like.
And you have to do the report right away.
When in doubt, fill it out.
Now, does it really help?
Adrenaline.
If there's somebody
pumping while you're trying to type.
Yeah, right.
I forget half the shit because your adrenaline is going crazy. And you're like, wait, did I? Oh, so, thank God there was more than one person there.
Oh, yeah.
They can kind of help, jog your memory.
Sure.
But, yeah.
So, okay, I mean, now, when it comes to being a cop and a state trooper, what are because I've wondered about that. Would you? Okay, a state trooper obviously is the high. I guess they're handling that, so they don't have to deal with any of that shit that you're dealing with, right? Would you say a state trooper? Would that be something you would say? Okay, I'm sort of nowadays that's still cool, or
I didn't want to be a trooper from the beginning.
Okay, so a trooper. Okay,
and I mean state police. I mean, I respect the hell out of those guys.
Yeah,
they like their main purpose is the highways and the thruway.
Okay.
That's what they're supposed to do.
Right.
But they also have like their divisions. They have, BCI and crime labs and stuff like that. So
Didn't know that.
They have narcotics, they have undercovers. So they're out there, they're doing their thing because they have state jurisdiction, right? Gotcha. They're not just stuck here in Newburgh or, in Rockland County. They can't go out and do whatever they want to do. They can pretty much roam. They have authority everywhere.
Okay.
So, I mean, that job, that's always kind of been like the upper echelon of police work, but I never really, to me, I always wanted to be in the ghetto.
Right. You want to be in the thick of things.
I always wanted to be in the shit.
Accent and the shit.
You know what I mean? I never really wanted to just sit in the car all day and just be like 80.
Yeah.
I just didn't.
You know what? I never thought about that. I guess that's not the glamorous part. You're sitting there going, okay, 80, 90.
Yeah, it's got to be boring.
Yeah.
And then people don't exactly like you.
No.
Under the best circumstances. Even if you let them go, they're like, hey, son of a bitch.
Right?
Yeah.
This dick let me go. Okay. But, but everything has changed so much. It really has the whole dynamic. It's just not the same. It's not a job that you can say to yourself, in 15 years, I want to be, sergeant or a lieutenant or something like that. People nowadays, a lot of the guys that are getting on this job, from what I've seen, they're just like, yep, I'm doing my time and that's it.
Right. Now, have you, because I do know, I have a couple of friends of mine, probably 3 or 4 friends who are cops in the city. And, they've told me as well, they're a little apprehensive to do anything nowadays because of the scrutiny behind it. And, everybody's got a camera nowadays. Everybody's filming you nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just like, anything that they do is going to be scrutinized and probably put on Facebook or Instagram and all that shit.
Facebook Live was a big one.
So do you think the internet, really crushed a lot of what cops could do? Because it used to be prior to the internet, you could probably beat the shit. You'd be like,
oh, sure. Yeah, there would be. But that's another problem.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you know what I mean?
I'm going to tell you guys now, the media is the absolute devil.
Oh,
I'm going to say I don't care. The media is the devil. Listen, they have certain things that they are good for. Okay, I get it. The media is out there to keep us alert, but they have the ability to just control the masses. And if they want somebody on their shit list, it's going to happen. And it was cops for the longest time. I'll tell you guys straight up. There was times when things were popping off, and you're sitting there and you're like, what do you want me to do? I can't do my job, so what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
Let it burn and that's it. And we'll just make sure nobody else gets hurt. But what do you want me to do? I'm not going to, some guys are on the job, 15, 17, 20 years. They're like, I'm going to lose my pension, because some 17-year-old kid doesn't like the way I spoke to him.
Yeah.
And people are going to listen to him.
Yeah.
A lot of people now, they have a platform, and I don't know where it went wrong. Even, I'm pretty sure I'm the same age, as you guys, growing up, there was ways, and you learned how to do it, but you still respected everybody.
I agree.
And it's now it's all these perps out here and all these people, they want the attention and they want all this self-entitled respect, and they're giving it to them.
Yeah. That's the shame. That's a shameful thing. But those same people want you to protect them, And
that's where it's like,
you
can't win. It's a lose-lose.
Yeah. You ever see that T-shirt?
Catch 22 there.
Next time you're in trouble, call a crackhead.
Yeah, I like that one.
Ooh, I like that one. Yeah,
I like that one.
And it kind of holds true. It's like, you don't want my help. Well, then when the shit's really hitting the fan,
I agree.
Sorry, bud.
I agree.
Yeah, because cops were really getting bashed especially during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And all the riots that were going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt bad for anybody in the profession because the squeeze was on, man. You got to be a diplomat now.
It really was.
Cripes.
It really was. You really just can't do your job. And you can, but you have to do it in such a way, where everybody's happy. And it's like, listen, man, you're breaking the law.
Yeah.
You're not doing, you didn't make an accident. You didn't do this. You're wrong. And that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm here to take your freedom. I'm sorry if I'm going to hurt your feelings, but I got to do what I got to do.
It's crazy. It really
is.
I'll see some of these Facebook things. They're like, okay, and even the person the cops going up to, they're like, the person's going, okay, what's your name and badge number? You know,
You're like, wait a second, and they have to show them, you know, and they walk away scared.
Exactly. I'm like, what the fuck happened in this country that we basically vilify cops now?
Yeah,
when it's just unbelievable that, you know, first of all, to be a cop to me, I mean, is part of the first responders, all that. I mean, you go into this profession. You said it wasn't your first inclination to help people, but at the end of the day, that's what you're doing.
Exactly.
And for that, for these people,
and you swear to serve and protect.
Yeah,
right?
serve
you make
and
an
protect.
oath.
Yeah,
I think you do, right? As a police,
you do
officer.
You take your oath, and you know, I mean, when things got really bad, I mean, it went from, you know, do I serve and protect or do I serve and neglect?
Exactly,
like,
exactly.
What do I do? So
I got you there, yeah, and you got to kind of make that case to case still,
right? But then in my case, like me personally, I thought to myself, you know, listen, this is my job. I have to do this.
Sure.
You know, I have to go help that guy, even though I fucking hate him and I can't stand him, and I'm gonna probably lock him up in a week.
Yeah.
He needs my help today, and that's what I got to go do.
Gotcha.
You know,
gotcha.
So, you know, but then, you know, not everybody's like that, but that's where, you know, one, you know, bad apple doesn't ruin the bushel.
Yeah.
Right. But that's not how people see it.
Yeah.
So like if I was a dick to somebody or if I was a real asshole, you know, all you cops are the same.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can't win. And there just comes a point in time where you're like, man, I'm so tired. Like, I don't know what to do anymore.
Yeah.
And you try to talk to your bosses or you try to talk to people, and they're just like, you know, some of them are looking at it from the, you know, the more of the, you know, the political side, and they're just like, you know, go talk to your, you know, your diplomat or whatever, or, you know, whoever, your PBA rep.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. So
I was going to say, I mean, what are the bosses? I mean, the people who are sitting in the office, so they're like, you know, when you're coming in going, hey, listen.
Mayor's got my ass downtown. There's nothing I can do for you here, kid. Exactly. You get one of them, right?
Mayor. Exactly.
the mayor.
He's going to have my badge,
hasn't been
badge for breakfast.
Exactly.
I'll have your ass on this table.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not like that though, right? Like you're
No.
like when you're like, hey Sarge, I gotta complain. He's like, hey, get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean?
I mean,
I'm going to a nice vegan restaurant this afternoon with my kids.
All you can eat tofu. I gotta leave.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the sergeants are really pretty cool. Those guys are down to earth because they were patrolmen or they were on the street not too long ago, so they pretty much don't forget where they come from.
Yeah.
You know, in a smaller department, everyone's pretty much on the level, but you know, you go to a place where there's like over like 200, 300 personnel or even 1,000 like in the city.
Yeah.
And you know, like that lieutenant's an asshole. He was cool like 10 days ago, but he's a dick now because he's a lieutenant, or you know, they forget where they come from. So it's like you kind of have to weigh all your chances before something happens, and you're like, is this something I can go to the sergeant with, you know, and be cool with, or is this going to go above my pay grade? So it's like, but you deal with it.
Yeah.
You know who you're going to deal with. And in my case, I went in there and I was a wise ass most of the time, and you know, my dry sense of humor and always trying to, you know, get one on people. And you know, I'm not going to lie to you, I tried it a few times and it didn't really end well, but whatever. I mean, I gotta if you don't let loose, or if you don't, you know, do whatever, you're never going to make it out alive.
Yeah, yeah.
So, which I almost didn't, but whatever.
Well, I was going to ask you, did you ever have to draw your gun? And well, I'm sure you did multiple times, but was there ever an instance where you were like, okay, I'm going to say one more word and shit is going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, that foot pursuit that I was just talking to you guys about earlier, you know, I saw the gun come up and I immediately drew out of my holster, and I'm trying to run, and I got this guy in my sights, and my hand is on the trigger, and I'm getting ready. And I'm like, this is going to fucking happen today.
Right.
And he never turned around, so he just kept going. And then as soon as he turned the corner, I hesitated, and I did, you know, all my training, and I you know, I sliced the pie that they call it, and I looked around, and I didn't see him, and a taxi driver comes on 2 wheels from right. He's like, he went in there. He's like, jump in, I'll drive you. I'm like, okay. So now I'm jumping in this taxi. I'm standing up on his floorboard.
So you would have civilians help you every now and again?
Every now and again, yeah.
Oh, that's not bad. Yeah, that's nice to know.
Yeah, I mean, especially here. You know, you're like, you know, fuck humanity. You're like, hey, you're pretty cool. So, but, yeah, and then we couldn't find him. He told me where he threw the gun, so we recovered the gun and all that stuff. But yeah, I've drawn my weapon, you know, more times than I wanted to.
Now, what is the protocol? Because I've always wondered this. What's the protocol? Because when are you allowed to fire or not fire, because you see a lot of people that are like, well, you know what, he wasn't, you weren't in mortal danger or some shit like that. But to me, if you're in a situation like that and you got to think within a split second, it's always hard. Anybody can, quarterback that later on. But at the end of the day, when you're in that split second situation, I think always it should favor to you if you have to make that choice. You know what I mean?
I mean, it definitely should. And that takes us back to the whole, media thing. If they want you to be a villain, you're going to be a villain. You're going to be a villain.
Yeah, so, I got you.
I mean, I've been in situations where,
Are you allowed to fire a warning shot?
You can't.
You can't.
It's frowned upon in most places. Kind of sort of like a desk pop. You know
what I mean? Yeah, desk pop. Sure.
You can't. Yeah, warning shots.
But a warning shot seems like it would save a lot of lives.
That's true. But
or scare the shit out of a lot of people.
It all depends. I mean, here in Newburgh, people would just be like, "Oh, it's another gunshot."
I got you. You just wasting tax-paying dollars on the lead,
or hit him in,
exactly.
Hit him in the leg, give him a warning shot there. It's like you can't do that. So, I mean, look, we have our guns, and it's not just for show. Like it is obviously to save a life in the face of just mere mortal danger.
Sure.
And I mean, pretty much, if you're going to use your gun, and you're going to use deadly physical force, I mean, you better hope that when you go to court, you have a good reason that you did it. I mean, if you feel that your life is in danger, or if anybody else around you in that, right there in that, that general vicinity is in, danger, I mean, you can go ahead and use deadly physical force. Or if that person has a weapon, if they're coming at you with a knife, with a gun, with a baseball bat, with anything that's going to threaten your life or somebody else's, then, you're
justified.
As far as the book says, you're justified.
As far as the book says, but then the media will fuck everything up.
That's exactly what they're going to do.
Yeah, the media fucks everything up. It
really
doesn't matter.
Even that split-second decision.
Well, you saw it's not even a cop thing, but there was a whole thing in the city, and I think it's ongoing. It was that one guy was a subway car, and he put him in a chokehold, and then there was some film going on. I can't remember the guy's name.
Oh, the civilian, the military guy.
Some military guy, has never been in trouble.
Yeah.
But, right or wrong, this guy in the car, and then the media blew it up. Now, this guy's probably going to jail. So my point is the media can, obviously
probably sway the decision of a jury or two.
But it's crazy that you could be 20 years on the force.
Yep.
You put yourself in one certain circumstance.
Gone.
And that circumstance, doesn't go in your favor. Like, the whole chokehold thing with, was it Floyd?
George Floyd.
George Floyd and whatnot.
Yeah.
And again, you can look at both sides of the equation and argue that, for the next 15, 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just insane that as a cop, and you can go 20 years through and end up in jail, your pension gone, and you've tried to do everything positive for 15, 20 years, and then one day it's all fucking gone.
Right.
Sure.
So that scares the shit out of me. So even I think my son, I got 3 boys, and my oldest son had mentioned something about, or we talked about that, the police force, and I was like, no. And like, no fucking way. And it sucks because you know what? It should be
something you're proud of him to go into.
Fuck yeah.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Like it's still that profession where hold your head high. And the same thing with the military. I mean, back then to go in the military, it's like, you're in you'd see a military guy, and I don't care who you were, you'd give a little inch and just straighten it up when he walks in the room. And it's like now, like I feel like people have become so desensitized to what everybody in this world who's trying to do good is doing. They're just like, whatever.
Well, see, the military, though, the only thing I can say, the military didn't have to fuck with the general public. You know what I mean? You guys have to, cops. Right. I mean, that's what you're there for. But it's like we want to throw you out there to do your job, but then we want to reel you back in and criticize you every fucking little dynamic that goes wrong or awry. Right. We hold your feet under the fire, which to me is bullshit.
Yeah, there's not enough respect for the job.
And absolutely.
It's really
absolutely.
So I'll tell you, I didn't mean to.
No, go ahead.
I'll tell you a quick story. So every year the military or the Marine Corps has their birthday.
Yeah.
Right. So when Pineapple Larry's was open,
I remember that place.
Taking you back.
Yeah.
So yeah, when Pineapple Larry's was open, a whole bunch of Marines came down, and they were celebrating. It was the Marine Corps' birthday. So I was coming on for a midnight shift, and the watch commander actually told us. He said, "All right, go out there." He goes, "Pineapple Larry's is jumping tonight. It's the Marine Corps' birthday. Act accordingly. I'll see you guys at 7." It's all right, very good. So we go out there and we see them all, and they're in their dress blues, and they look like they're having a good time. They're all got their chests out, and they just got done doing, they're having push-up contests on the curb, and I'm like, all right. I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, happy birthday. I respect you guys. Be careful. Oh, what are you kidding? I'm like, all right, bro. I'm just letting you know. Be careful. Fast forward 3 hours later, I get a call for Du Bois Street, right by the hospital, for a man down. So I go up there, and the very first thing I see is dress blues scattered in the street.
What?
I find this poor kid half naked, and he's just in a coma, bleeding out of every hole in his face. They beat the shit. Yeah, he must have ventured off.
Oh, he got beat up. Huh?
And they beat the shit out of him.
In dress blues.
In dress blues. And I went, you've got to be fucking kidding. So it wasn't far to get him to the hospital.
Yeah.
St. Luke's is right there, but in retrospect, you think about it, and you're like, all right, I get it. He was probably drinking. Yeah. He was probably running his mouth, but still, it's like, even as a civilian, you just walk the fuck away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give the guy a break. Give him a night.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not like, hey,
Yeah, leave him alone.
We're in the military on leave, and we're all dressed normally. It's like, this dude was in his fucking dress blues.
Yeah.
And somebody beat the shit out of him. He was tenderized like a steak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He make it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
He was just.
Well, he's a Marine, so might have toughened him up. In the middle of all the chaos and the craziness of the job and the responsibility, is there anything funny that ever happened to you during the course of your career?
Bro, this job is if you're too serious, you'll never get out, right? So the lighthearted times, there's more things that we've busted out laughing, and more like the lighter side of law enforcement than it's definitely there. So I remember one particular story, right? We're all serious guys, and we're all looking around and holding the position and whatnot with the whole persona, but I'm scared to death of bees and snakes. Just keep them the fuck away from me. And I just don't like anything that has to do with like the macabre, like funeral homes, haunted houses. I'm just like, I just don't want anything to do with it. You know what I mean? If I get in a gunfight, cool, we're gonna do this, but I don't want to go into a fucking funeral home. I just don't want to do. I don't like anything about them. So where I'm going with this,
creeps you out.
So we get a burglar alarm for this funeral home that was, just maybe like two minutes down the street on Grand Street. Mm-hmm. And
on Grand?
Right at the end of Grand.
I know that place.
It's not a funeral home anymore.
But but it was for a minute, right?
Right.
Okay.
Massive.
Yep.
We get there, and I'm thinking, fuck, maybe there's more than 3 of us, and I could kind of I got the perimeter guys, no problem. But no, I have to go inside, and you go in, and they all have that same
smell.
That same smell. It's like, it smells like old carpet. It's just like
dead flowers.
Yeah.
You know what it is? That's an embalming. That's that embalming fluid.
Like incense or something. And then, they have like the tray with like the strawberry candies. Don't act like you don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Oh yeah, baby.
They're always there. And they're
stuck together.
They are, right?
One chunk.
So we go in, and I'm already I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm sweating. I'm sweating in places where, sweat you shouldn't be. And
sure.
I have my gun out at the low ready, because that's what you're supposed to do when you're clearing a scene, and I'm just sitting here, and I'm just like, fuck, nobody be in here. Don't be in here. Don't be in here. And if you are in here, please be alive. Please be alive.
Someone's popping out of a coffin or some shit.
So there's a coffin room. There's a casket room. So I go in there real quick. I'm not checking those fucking caskets.
Ooh.
Somebody cleared them. It was cool. So now it starts to get like, all right, this is stupid. I just want to get out of here. And, I'm in a room, and I turn around, and there was one of those, I thought it was a person. So I have my gun. I immediately come up on target, and I am dead set on starting to squeeze the trigger. So thank God I recognized it. Like those, like a seamstress type mannequin.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
It's got like a body figure, and it's like made out of like cloth, and people stick pins and shit in all the time. Yeah. So that's what it was. But it was silhouetted by the window in such a way where it looked like a hulking person is just sitting there staring at me. And I knew it wasn't one of the cops because I was the only one in the room. And dude, when I tell you that I literally jumped and I damn near shit myself.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself,
shit your pants on that one.
So that was one where I walked out and everyone's like, we're good. Okay. I sit in the car and I immediately just start wiping my face with toilet paper and it's getting stuck to my face because that's how much I'm sweating.
Sure.
Now I look like a shitty shaver, and it's all over the place. I mean,
oh my God, dude.
But your adrenaline is going and you're like, I literally just almost shot a mannequin. So it's like those moments that you can laugh about. One of the guys in the city of Newburgh was notorious for taking naps on the midnight shift, right?
Okay.
So I won't give away the spot where we all used to go, but it was up in the park somewhere.
Okay.
So it was pouring rain out. They paper mache'd the shit out of his car using newspaper. So he was actually, this guy was out long enough, but when he woke up, it had ceased raining and the paper started to harden. So his car looked like just a massive ad of newspaper. And he's sitting there scraping this shit off of his windshield. I mean, just like the little things like that. Another guy who liked to take naps, parks his car down at the waterfront when Gully's was still there.
Yeah, I remember Gully's.
And he parks his car right on the shore, and it actually turned out to be one of the mini barges, and it wasn't secured to the land. So he knocks out, and he wakes up, and he sees water. He sees the Beacon Bridge, and then he sees fucking Beacon, and then he sees Newburgh at least 500 yards away.
Yeah, drifting.
So
that's great, though. You gotta have a little banter amongst the group, right? Amongst the fellas,
There's no way you're gonna call you're not gonna call a supervisor. So everyone gets on their phones or like ask questions later. Call so and so down at Quality or whatever. Get them down here. You got to get me the fuck out of the water.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And they ended up getting them out. But I mean, like little shit like that. You're like, somebody had to be watching out for me because like, what if shit hit the fan and I can't get to you?
Yeah.
My car's about to sink in the Hudson. How are you gonna explain that one?
That's true. I will tell you. I think that's good. I mean, you gotta like Mike said, brotherhood.
Yeah.
I will tell you though.
You gotta watch each other, otherwise you'll all get fired.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, geez.
I will tell you though, from OCC when cops used to come into OCC, they're always respectful, but those guys, and maybe it was a lot of it to do with what a lot of what you're saying, the stress. Those guys could drink. They would pound them back. They would go out and they would let loose a little bit. You know what I mean? Always respectful. But I mean, I think that's you work hard, you play hard kind of a thing.
Yeah. I mean, most of us, it all depended on, what stage you're at in your career. But I mean, we didn't know how to let our feet off the gas. Like you went 100% no matter what you did.
Gotcha.
Like you said, you work hard, play hard. And that's another reason on why, most of our lives are, unfortunately cut short. I mean, my one sergeant I worked with here downtown, I mean, the poor guy died and his first retirement check was in the mailbox.
Ooh, really? That sucks.
Never got, I mean, it's just
horrible.
Like.
What happened? What did he have? Just
he was a heavy hitter.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it just caught up to him and, one thing led to another. But, I mean, great guy. And
how old?
I think he was in his late 50s.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just like, death doesn't give a shit who you are.
No,
old,
it's true.
That's it.
It's true.
But I actually, myself, I had a pretty close call. 2018, I'm in the gym. I'm going crazy. At the time, I was going to the gym 6 days a week, twice a day, doing CrossFit competitions, literally burning the candle at both ends. And, I mean, I was in the greatest shape of my life.
That's what I was going to say. Go ahead.
And
cranking it. Yeah, really, man, going nuts.
Yeah, and I'm in the gym, and there was one kid there. He was like 18 years old, and he had placed second in the CrossFit Games, like in California. So he comes to the gym, and I'm thinking, I'm going to show this kid how to swing. One of the old dogs. I'm going to show you how it's done.
Yeah.
And we do a workout. As soon as I'm finished, I start getting a pain on the left side of my chest. I didn't think anything of it, and then my arm goes numb, and I start to sweat a little bit, and I'm like, you've got to be fucking kidding. There's no way this is happening to me right now. This is not to me. This is not happening.
Mm-hmm.
So I got in the car. I drove myself to the hospital, which was the wrong hospital because it was no longer, Cornwall Hospital was no longer open.
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
so
boy.
it was a cardiac rehab facility. So I'm sitting there telling the girl what's going on, and I'm thinking to myself, this is my legacy. I'm going to fucking die right here.
So wait a minute. I mean, let's go
hospital.
back into this. So, I mean, what was it? This couldn't have been some kind of, was it a massive pain? Was it just like a slight irritation? Was it like, you know what? Because, you know, you hear about those people and then they go to the doctor and like, well, you had a minor heart attack.
Minor heart
And you're like,
attack.
"Oh, no, okay.
But
But,
you
you
had
know,
about 6 of them last night.
yeah, or some shit like that. But I mean, what was it just?
No, it was like just a normal, like an ache. Like if you,
That's it? Just
like
an ache?
Like if you get like a Charlie horse or something, you're just like, man, it just doesn't. It was right here.
Wow.
And I'm like, and I had done push-ups in the workout.
Okay.
So I'm like, you know what? Maybe I tore something. Maybe I'm dehydrated.
Yeah, sure.
You know, I was doing exactly that, trying to work out the kink. And I'm like, all right. So I took a shower at the gym, tried to feel, you know, maybe I'd feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
I got out, same thing. And, you know, I thought to myself, maybe I'll go to the commons and walk around, you know, try to get some fresh air. And then by the time I got in my car, I'm like, I feel like I'm going to throw up. I was like,
Oh, really?
I was like,
That bad?
yeah, I was like, I'm not waiting. So I drove myself to the one place, and they called me an ambulance from there. And
So you made the right move.
yeah,
You know,
so I got in there, and you know, the guy takes all my vitals, and he gives me a pill to chew. Nitro, was it a glycerin?
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
And he runs a EKG. He's like, I got to run this again. I'm like, okay. And he recognized me. He's like, I remember you used to work right here, right, in Newburgh? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, so when was the last time you used cocaine? And I'm like, you just recognized me from where I work. I was like,
You just sold me something.
Exactly.
so me being me, I said, what day is it? You know, just
Yeah. No.
totally fucking with this guy. I was like, no, I don't use that. He's like, all right. He's like, well, all right, man. He gets on the phone to the hospital, and I hear him calling in. He's like, I have a 40-year-old male. He's displaying this, and this. It sounds like he's giving some kind of, you know, code or whatever. And he's like, all right, man. He's like, I don't want to scare you, but it looks like you're having a heart attack. And I'm like,
What?
dude, my stomach just went. I mean, my bottom dropped out from below. I mean, here I am, a guy who's never had to take a medication in his life, in the greatest shape of his life, and I felt legitimately, I mean, you know, bulletproof
Now, wait a minute. Your stomach, from when he told you or what?
from when he told me.
Okay.
And I just went, you have got to be kidding. And then I just lost all control of my emotions.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's no way this is happening. So they bring me into St. Luke's, and I was lucky enough where the whole cardiac team is already there. So they pull me in, and there's, you know, 15 white coats with their, you know, charts looking at me. They,
Running
you know,
scans and whatnot.
rip all my stuff off, start sticking tubes and everything in me. And my wife actually works in Westchester. So by the time she got wind of this, she said, bring him here. And they said, he doesn't have time to make it there. We got to take him to the ER or the OR right now.
You went to the OR?
Yeah. So
Holy shit.
they brought me up there. And
Cut you open.
Yeah, within like 30 minutes, he told me, he said, you had 100% occlusion on the right side of your heart. It was completely blocked.
Really?
So the only thing that was working was my left side.
Wow. Jeez.
So let me ask you something. Did they find out, is that more, because I always heard like it could be it could be genetic. Because I have a friend of mine who,
Diet or genes, right?
Because like you said, you were in such great shape or some shit like that. I mean, because you look very, you know, physically fit. Is it did they give you any indication how that, you know, where it came to? Because you're in the gym, you're doing all that kind of shit. I mean,
So not immediately. They ran. I mean, I had more tests done than you know, shake a stick at. And I mean, every time I looked up, I had a different specialist coming in to take a look. They said I was about an hour away from being put on dialysis because my kidneys had taken such a hit. Because I guess apparently when you have a heart attack, every organ in your body is just obliterated. Yeah.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
so that. But I mean, as far as, you know, genetics go, I mean, and I'm going to tell you guys right now, they attributed what happened to me to the job for the stress.
Oh, yeah.
Gotcha.
I have no family history.
Yeah, no history.
I have you know, my cholesterol's not at like 900. I didn't have any heart disease. I had no warning, nothing.
Wow.
So yeah, this was in 2018.
2018.
Yeah, I was 40.
Stress in general is the mother.
Yeah, stress in general sucks.
That
but
job's
I mean,
a mother.
I mean, the thing
Mother
about
of a mother.
Yeah, the thing about law enforcement, I mean, it depends on where you work. You know, I mean, your adrenaline is sky high, and then you have a dump, and then it's sky high, and then you have a dump. So it's like your heart is going from 1,000 miles an hour to nothing.
Yeah,
and
gotcha.
And they say it takes
It's quite a
toll.
bit on the engine.
Interesting.
Right?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So is it true about the left hand? It's the left side, right?
Left side.
So was it really? Did it feel like you're numb to the point where like you couldn't even move your fucking arm, kind of a thing, or just like a tingling?
No, it was it was kind of like if you make a fist, right? You can feel it.
Right.
And it's kind of like, it's getting sore. Like you can feel it. So
Wow.
I was making fists like this, and I just couldn't feel it. And I'm going, this is just not.
It's not happening.
You know? At the same time, feel this and you feel this. So my chest pain was immediate, right? This being sore. It didn't feel like a 100-pound or a 500-pound elephant was whatever.
That's what you always hear. You know what I
It
mean?
didn't necessarily feel like that.
Yeah,
It was just
okay.
more of like a pain, right? And then, in the shower, I didn't have any like profuse sweating. I kind of stopped sweating. I was breathing just fine. It was just that I felt nauseous and just the numbness on my left hand.
How long were you in? How long did you?
I think it was 4 days. I was in ICU for 2 days, and I had 2 stents placed to keep my artery open.
Sure.
Excuse me. But I couldn't get out of ICU immediately because they had said my heart was kind of trying to reject them. So
okay.
they had to keep giving me medicine and more medicine. They said, listen, like if we give you any more medicine, like you're gonna need a pacemaker. And I'm thinking to myself, this is just like what? Like I'm just getting shit on. Go outside. Is it raining? No, it's shitting, and I have no umbrella. So it's like, So yeah, but everything turned out to be okay, and I went home and got the blandest diet known to man, and it's like, you're gonna finish your bread, because that's all I'm eating.
Cauliflower.
Well, see, God bless
Right?
you, though. I mean, listen, I mean, and that's my point. You go in to be a cop to help and serve,
Right?
and you do everything you do, and then it impacts you in that dynamic. And then you got the shitty media who who fucking,
and they don't care.
piles on top of you. So
they don't care if you're dead. They're looking for a story.
Yeah.
If it's at your expense, cool. We're gonna run with it.
Yeah. Or if you help their statistic or something.
Yep.
So the takeaway, I mean, being a cop nowadays is so stressful, and I mean, we support, and OCC, even Mike's father has always been a big military first responder.
You guys are always doing stuff.
Always
Big supporters.
Always.
Fire bike was legit.
Yeah, of the branches of the military as well as
That too. Yeah.
yeah.
So it's I was just watching like I don't even know how I ended up getting to it. I think I was watching like bike videos or whatever, because I bought a Harley 2 years ago. So I was watching, and one of the episodes popped up, and
Right.
I saw the bikes, and I'm like, holy shit, that takes me back. So it was pretty cool to see that.
cool.
But that's just crazy that you had to go through that, and I'm very happy that you're okay, man.
I appreciate it.
And pulling forward with that.
Yeah.
And
I'm on 6 medications for the rest of my life, but you know what? It beats the alternative.
by any means.
Damn, really?
By any means.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because it just, you just never know. I've seen guys, and I have had friends, and I'm sure you have, Mike, who probably have from taken substances that should have been dead a long time ago.
Oh, a long time ago.
And it's just it's weird how your body, there's no rhyme or reason. Ultimately, it's going to hit you.
It is.
But then you got like the Rolling Stones, and you got everybody who's like,
I was just gonna
defy
say,
gravity.
you got these people
think,
who
yeah.
defy
gravity.
Shit.
Like Mick Jagger actually died in 1998.
But I think
You know
those
what I
guys
mean?
keep like organ donors like on.
I don't know what they do.
on the tour bus.
Look at Keith Richards.
At least 3 each. They're trading blood out from 21-year-olds and
Exactly.
shit.
Well, that's what they say. Keith Richards had some kind of fucking blood, and he would have a blood transfusion. And shit.
I
don't know
would
if
too
that
if
shit-
I were him.
That dude,
Yeah, he's got to need that. Those guys aren't still playing right now and
that guy's blood type is formaldehyde.
partying like Lemmy.
Like, right?
Yeah,
Ain't gonna happen. Yeah, without fresh blood every day.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. You wonder if these guys are actually still alive, or it's a fucking pop-up like the illusions nowadays. I mean, it's just from what they do, it's just insane.
I've heard that Jimmy Page lives on devil worship.
Well,
He doesn't even have his kidneys like filtered or anything like that. No, I'm just. I shouldn't say that.
No.
But I think he is a devil worshiper.
I don't think he cares.
I don't think he
Listen,
does.
if Jimmy Page reaches out to you, then I want to know.
Doing okay.
Oh man, what?
That's so great.
Crazy
I got off track
shit.
there. Sorry.
No.
It's all good.
But thanks. I mean, where are we at, Ben? We're at time.
We're at time.
Number one, thanks. Just for sharing a little bit about what you do. I know Mike and I appreciate.
Yeah, and I found it really interesting, as opposed to most people know about police or watching cop series or their own personal interactions, which are pretty few, far and in between for the most part. It was really nice to get the real scoop.
I do want to know one thing. They always tell me, because in Newburgh, I had a friend of mine who was a cop, and he goes, you know what? Because you see people getting pulled over all over the fucking time, when they're out, and because of the waterfront. They're like, you know what? Usually in the waterfront, up until 9 p.m., we don't pull people over or some shit like that. Or what's the skinny there?
Yeah, you're definitely going to hook yourself a DWI 1 out of 2 or 3 if you get them after 9. Right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like from the waterfront. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. But, there's no, real...
rhyme or reason?
Thing, a quota, so to speak. Or there's, there's not like a... you can't think to yourself, I know exactly what he's doing there. Or this guy's going to get me here. Listen, I go down the highway now, and if I'm doing 20 over and I see a trooper or somebody, I'm like, wait a second. I'm not going to be so hesitant to slam on the brakes because he's probably fucking texting his girlfriend or playing, or he's playing Candy Crush. He's not looking at me. So, I'm really, happy that I was able to come on here and talk to you guys. My goal was to kind of try to humanize the job a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm just a regular dude, and I got some crazy fucking stories to tell you. And to sit here and you could see how it kind of affected my life, and how it shaped the rest of my life. It's just it's fun to talk about because if you keep this shit bottled up, it's gonna eat you.
Sure.
Well, we appreciate you coming on, man. We really do.
Yeah, thanks for being on.
Anytime. I have the time now, so.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure we'll come up with a million more questions. We'll have you on again.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
like I said, I got more stories than I could forget. So, yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate that.
Thanks.
Cool. Mike, you want to send us out?
Oh, hey, everybody. It's time again for the... No. What do I say again at the end? Good night. Oh, goodbye, everybody. Good night, Gracie.
Everybody, you can reach us at the on all platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Spotify. What else, Ben? Apple Music, Instagram. The whole nine. And we look forward to seeing you guys again. And thanks for tuning in. And another thing, we'll be putting up these the challenge coins for sale shortly. Ben, as soon as you figure that shit out. And we'll see you soon. Thanks, guys.